Okay, welcome everyone to this 12 noon Monday session where every fortnight I openly invite you on to share on the call and to share your insights on what's unfolding. So really this is me hosting a session for you, the people, to speak out. So if you would like to come on today's call, then please put your hand up, which is in the reactions bar at the bottom of the screen. It's like a little yellow hand. And if you bring that up, then I know to come to you. I can see that people are already starting to post into the chat box. And just to say that if you're registered for these calls, you do get the chat log sent to you via email, which is usually sort of pages and pages and pages of which I don't curate it, I just send it out, so that if you have any links that you want to share, that's a good place to put links and comments, because everyone who's registered for these calls, I think there's about 2,600 people registered now, everyone gets the chat log. Okay, so yeah, let's just, I'm actually quite exhausted. I've been on output all weekend. I've had a friend staying here who's quite an activist. So I've been on output a lot. We did a big Bakewell stand in the park yesterday, which was great. And I'm kind of, I'm in that place where I just need to hand over. So let me start coming to you straight away. I'm not going to do much of an introduction, but I might share something later if I feel inspired to. Let's come to Simon first, who's got his hand up. And
hello, everyone.
Hey, Simon. Hi, welcome.
Good morning from Quebec, on the
from
Canada
Quebec.
side.
Yes, you've spoken before, I think, haven't you?
That's my third time, I think.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I'm just giving news from the other side of the pound. Excuse my French accent, I would say. I just want to say hello to everyone. I just wanted to give some feedback of what's happening here. I think it's the big plan is the same all over the world, and we're living to what you're living in on your side of the world. Travel is going to be impossible soon if you're not vaccinated. Pretty sure, well, on the 15th of October, this is in 4 days, there's going to be massive layoff of doctors and nurses and everything if they're not vaccinated. I already have a neighbor, a friend, a doctor who lost her job. So what do we do with all this? I would say that in the normalcy of cycles, it's normal to go through darkness before the sun rises again. And I think we are going into darkness. Don't think we can stop it altogether. I think we need to organize. We need to gather. We need, like Rachel does with this. So on our side, we are building a community. There's more and more people attached to this community. There's a local community where I live near a lake, and we gather together. We walk in the woods. We do meditation. We organize home movies because we cannot go to the movies anymore. So last week we organized a home movie, and we watched yesterday the movie about the guy who is the only one on the planet who knows the beautiful tunes of the Beatles. It was amazing just to be together again, living like normal people and enjoying a good movie. We are also organize private discussion forums on a private server. So I started on my private server a private forum to gather all those people around and take notes and everything. There's in that group, there are some people who got their kids out of school and starting homeschooling. The doctor who lost her job, we're trying to help her find another path, another way of living. She's very open and for other possibilities. Myself also, I'm looking for another way of living, another way of working, because I'm pretty sure I work in a school in Quebec, and I'm pretty sure that.
Sorry, hold on a second.
Yeah, Lydia. Okay.
Yeah,
So
can everyone mute themselves? I should have actually done a thing at the beginning of this call to.
That's fine.
Hold on, I'm just going to do one thing here, Simon, which is going to mute everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll have to unmute yourself. So hold on. And that way no one can unmute themselves unless invited. That's it. Cool.
There we go.
Sorry about that.
It's fine. So myself, I'm seeing movements and signals where in the school I worked, and I'm pretty sure the government is going to try to impose vaccine passports in the school. So I'm preparing myself for that. And I don't know if you see a bit there, but on this side, I'm preparing hydroponics testing with my son, who's is an engineer, and automation around hydroponics. So we're trying to build a new world, and but I'm pretty sure we're gonna go through a dark time, and we need to keep it together. You know, don't give up and stay connected to the light. It may be hard sometimes, but when you're in a larger group, not with your spouse or a couple of kids, when you have a larger group and everybody supports each other, it's easier. So find yourself a group, organize, and stay safe.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to mute you back there. Yeah, my sense is that they are going to throw everything that they can at this now in a sort of last desperate gasp attempt to create as much chaos as they possibly can. And I made a video about it called The Antidote. And what I don't think I really drove home deeply or clearly enough in that video is that these dark archontic forces behind this evil energy is starving. It needs to be fed with fear and chaos. And so they're created because they're literally starving. And when we bring in the light and we just hold the light and we just say no, and we just keep that, and like, you can throw anything you want at us and it isn't going to work. Literally, that is what collapses this Wetiko energy. And so there is an overwhelming temptation to fight, to respond with fight and aggression and try to stop the bastards, but that is only going to feed this energy the way, the metaphysical, the energetic way to collapse this completely, like Dracula turning to dust because he can't get in his coffin before the sun rises. It literally is realizing we're not dealing with humans here, we're dealing with dark, satanic, Wetiko, archontic energy, which literally cannot survive in the light, and it needs fear and chaos and all that to feed it. I feel very convinced of that. So I know that there's a big temptation to feel that we have to fight this right, but to me that is playing into their hands, because if they can declare martial law, if they can introduce new legislation against us, then they will. But the more peaceful non-compliance is just, that's all we need to do, peaceful non-compliance. Okay, thank you for opening the show there. And let's come to Owen next, Owen Lucas.
Hi, is the microphone muted? Is that okay?
I can hear you, Owen. Hi, welcome.
Hi,
welcome again.
Everyone.
You're our common law expert, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to straight away disagree a little bit, but not completely.
All views are welcome.
I think we're in a fight, and that's okay. I mean, it's not okay. It's not comfortable, of course. But being in a fight, there's a clip from Gandhi. I'll see if I can put it into the chat. I'll dig it out, where he's talking about the fight that they're in, and he's talking about non-violence being the key to winning the fight. But he's very straight and upfront about the fact that when you're under attack, you have practicalities to face. And, whatever word we want to use, fight is as good as any. You got those 3D practicalities to attend with and contend with. And, opponents and contestants in this 3D reality that we live in, that we, bump up against on a daily basis. Maybe it's just, a little bust up with someone at home, or maybe it's someone, from the state, part of a big psychopathic army of hypnotized drones with syringes.
Yes.
These are fights. And I think it's important to, see it as for what it is in terms of a battle that we're in. And if it's okay, I've just got a couple of paragraphs I'd really like to read. Perhaps as I'll take your intro, if that's right, Rachel, seeing as you passed it on.
Yeah, please go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm just disposing of my tea bag.
This is a different manual to last week, same author, but it's called A Manual for Whistleblowers and Hellraisers, Truth Teller's Shield. How to use this manual. If the sun comes up tomorrow, it is only because of people of goodwill. And that's all that stands between us and the devil. Kenneth O'Donnell. The truth teller is entrusted with the soul of a people, without which they must die from inside out. But this same truther is also the one most feared and shunned by the same people. This paradox is part of the hard and inescapable reality that has found you. Having been under the gun from powerful institutions for over 2 decades has earned me some qualification to write this handbook. But my real education didn't happen overnight. And in order to survive, I had to relearn everything I thought was true. As a young United Church of Canada clergyman and happy family man, I was blind to the corporate entity I was part of until it reached out and it destroyed my life. But even when it attacked me, I continually denied what was happening to me because it was too fantastic and horrible to believe. Denial is a primary defense mechanism of the human mind and of entire communities. And I indulged in it unswervingly, even as my world was being destroyed. My greatest problem back then was that I refused to learn from my own experience. Mentally disarmed by my own denial, I was bushwhacked time and time again and was nearly overwhelmed by those who wanted me dead and forgotten. The face of the methods of war never change, only the circumstances and actors. Excuse me. Yeah, I think I'll stop there. But you get the idea. And just I've practiced this. You know who you are, truth tellers. Take from this cup, drink, and carry on humanity's oldest battle. Or in the words of poet Percy Shelley, via that Victorian era hellraiser and lover of freedom, rise like lions after slumber, in unvanquishable number. Shake your chains to earth like dew, which in sleep had fallen on you. Ye are many, they are few. And I think we don't appreciate our strength, Rachel. You know, there's billions of us, and what we're up against is a small bunch of sophisticated. You know, they've got their attributes, but we're arriving at a crescendo and a climax now, it seems, and we can blow them away and open up this realm to pastures new.
Thank you, Owen. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure that this is all going to open up a wonderful debate. And I welcome all opinions and shades of opinion. I'm not saying cower away and do nothing, but I do think there is tremendous power in standing strong in the resonance of truth, and that strong no, I do not consent, I do not comply. And every time that I have used that in a very peaceful way, but just a very firm way, no, I'm not wearing a mask.
As Gandhi said, non-compliance, non-violence.
Yeah, not peaceful non-compliance. And I have found personally, I have found that really powerful, because if you go into sort of a fight attack, then it is a persecutor victim dynamic, and it is activating. There's something about in that very calm, strong no that it's quite diffusing of the adrenaline response. That's my experience of it, because people are highly activated at the moment. They're in fight-flight response, and so we need to be the antidote for that. We need to hold a space which is which doesn't add to the fight flight. That's my sense. So calming our nervous system and coming at it from that peaceful place can really help to calm the situation. And I personally, I'm not as good as I could be at that, but I have observed some very, very evolved people who've just been so like just a Christ-like in those situations, and it totally diffuses situations. It's awesome. It's something it's something to practice. Anyway, thanks, Owen, for that. Thanks for reading that. And I do welcome all opinions on this. I'm going to come next to Amina, then I'm going to come next, and then I'm going to come to, sorry, I forget your name, the phone number, who's in Hong Kong. Is it Robert? Can't quite remember. Now, is Amina happy to come on, or shall I come to Sammy? Let's get some female energy. I'll come to Sammy, and then if Amina wants to come back, then you can speak too.
Hello. Hi, Rachel. And
hi, Sammy. Where are you coming from?
I'm coming from East London at the moment.
Okay.
I'm from Manchester originally, but firstly, I just want to say I've never spoken on here before. I watch all your calls, and I really get so much from these meetings, but also from your content that you put out on YouTube. And I've been resonating with it so much recently. And I just want to pick up on this kind of thing about how we're responding to what's happening right now, and whether we're getting into this kind of fight or flight dynamic that's going on. And something that has becoming clear to me over the last maybe 6 or 7 years, especially through working with plant medicines and things like that, was this whole thing around narcissism. And what I've experienced is something called narcissistic abuse in relationships. And what I learned through going through that journey of recovering from that was that whenever trauma is triggered within me, it's an opportunity for me to transmute that trauma, because that trauma was already there.
Yeah.
So the way to respond to it powerfully and effectively is to withdraw your energy from the situation and use whatever is coming up for your own, as a catalyst for your own transformation. And that you can't fight it, you can't win it, because you're not dealing with an energy which is of this earth, which is human as it.
Yes.
And so the more you fight with it, the more you entangle with it, the more you are feeding it your energy. And so I learned that through personal dynamics with people, and I've been trying to apply that same knowledge to the situation that we're in right now. But I can obviously feel myself wanting to get into the fight and wanting to defend and wanting to do things to feel like I'm making some difference. So I've recently gone back to work. I'm an actor, and I was in a West End show when everything got shut down. And as I've gone on this journey through the whole pandemic, like we all have, of waking up more and more and more to what's happening in the world. As we went back to work about a month ago, I started to feel like, I don't know if I fit in here. There's all this COVID policy around it. I'm feeling really out of place. I'm probably one of the only people here who sees it in the way that I do, and feeling like I was in the wrong place. Anyway, it got to the opening night, and the response from the audience, I'm in a comedy, I'm in a really uplifting comedic show. And I was just blown away, because on the opening night, the response from the audience, from this audience of like 900 people who were just crying out for some fun, for some laughter, for something to just lift their spirits, it literally knocked my socks off. And I was like, I know why I'm here. I'm here to make people laugh right now. This is what my energy needs to be doing. This is being of service. And I have, I'm very much in love with someone who is an activist and who is a fighter, as it were. And I keep trying to say, look, we don't need to get into the fight. Like there's other ways that we can respond to this. And I really loved the video that you put out, The Antidote, yesterday, where we were talking about how we raise our vibrations, how we dance, how we sing, I don't know, there are so many ways that we can work with what's happening right now. And it doesn't have to be about fighting. It can be someone laugh. And so that's where I'm at right now. I'm in this wonderful piece of thing.
What is the show? And where can we go and get tickets and come and see you?
I'm in the Only Fools and Horses musical.
Oh, cool.
It sounds like it shouldn't work, but it actually really does. It is a great piece of theatre, and looking out every day. Are you
Marlene?
I am, yes.
Marlene.
Marley, and just seeing the audience's reaction, oh my goodness me, like it is just literally, I want to cry every night. I just want to cry with gratitude.
Yeah.
And you can see the audience are crying as well. Like, this is powerful medicine.
I take it you don't have to have a jab to get in.
Well, not at the moment, and this is part of why I've been having such trauma, because they wanted us to wear masks. I mean, we were going into rehearsals and the whole rehearsal room is there with masks on rehearsing. I mean, I didn't do it. I said no. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm sticking out like a sore thumb. I've had to have real in-depth discussions with my managers, and I feel quite privileged that I am in a position where, no one is irreplaceable. Of course, someone else could do my job, but at this moment, my job is fairly secure because it's not that easy to just get rid of me and stick someone else in. But there will come a point, it's already being talked about, that, moving forwards, I fully accept that this will probably be my very last chance to do the job that I love, because moving forwards, they want people to be double jabbed to work.
In the short term, I think in the long term, this is going to collapse. I strongly do.
Well, me too. But at the same time, I'm just taking it as an opportunity to go, well, if I can't do that, how else can I use my skills and my whatever it is? And actually, I'll just create my own work, and there'll be
exactly
people that entertain, and it will be a different world, and it will probably be a better one.
So yeah, thank you, Sammy. Yeah, definitely. Comedy and laughter is a massive antidote. We had a bit of an antagonist at the stand in the park yesterday, and then we were doing the group photo, and I'm like, would you like to join in the group photo? Come on, come and join us and be in the photo. And it was just like that sort of, just pattern interrupted this need to be right, and it just lifted the vibration. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sammy. Thanks for coming on. Let's come to Amina, and then we'll come. I think it's Robert in Hong Kong. You'll have to correct me if I've remembered that incorrectly. Let's come to Amina. Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I couldn't unmute before. Thanks, Rachel. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to see the antidote video, but just wanted to add to the conversation. There's a great Telegram feed called 5D Spiritual Awakening. And there's all sorts of meditations on there, including binaural beats, which are really good to access these higher level states. And I absolutely agree with you that, this is spiritual warfare. And the only real antidote to it is to raise one's own vibrational level. There's a view that there's only 15% of people who need to be awakened to shift the whole energy.
Yeah.
So not worrying about the 85%, just getting 15% really, really up there in a high level vibration is the important thing to do. So for me, that's where I am. I'm a practicing Buddhist, but this whole journey for me has completely transformed my spiritual practice. I used to belong to an organized Buddhist group, and it's just been I dedicated 25 years of my life to that group, and then realized they were totally infiltrated and basically following the globalist agenda. So that's on a personal level, I've stepped out of practicing in that spiritual community and found a much wider spiritual community with lots of other different faiths, which is absolutely amazing. And I've also got the spiritual emancipation to actually include other things. So, to hold crystals whilst I'm chanting, which wasn't encouraged before, that was seen as dangerous, So all of these things have amazing capacity to raise our vibrational energy.
Yeah.
So, personally, I've got a piece of moldavite, which I put on my pineal gland quite a lot at the moment, and my heart's chakra when I'm chanting. And really, to encourage us to see our personal power is immense, So in terms of electromagnetic energy or energy that we can emit is huge around our body. I mean, each person carries a field that can project 8 meters. So if we're projecting 8 meters in terms of very high level love, compassion, joy, gratitude, that's going to have an immense like effect on the planet. So, you know, when I was in the Buddhist organization, we were constantly trained to like fight evil. You know, you fight evil and you work for world peace. So I understand the whole discourse of that, but actually to actually let that go and see the spiritual armor as not needing to be one of fighting, but to be one of really embracing and loving oneself first and foremost in order to project that love outwards with absolute compassion and no judgment of anyone or anything, is the only way to win this battle.
Yeah. Thank you, Amina. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, a lot of people, like with things like crystals, they say, oh, you know, what good is that going to do? Just some piece of rock. But I just know from doing plant medicine where you hold like just a rock from the mountain in the Andes and you shoot straight to the mountain. It's incredible, the power of rock and crystal, that most people don't realize just how powerful these things are until you start to get into the metaphysics of it. Okay, so let's come to is it Robert in Hong Kong? You have to.
Yes, it's Robert. Can you hear me?
You're all in a sort of pink red glow there.
Yes, my incandescent light bulbs, because it's
incandescent
dark.
light bulbs. Okay, welcome
like
again.
Oh,
How are things in Hong Kong?
Oh gosh, the net is getting tighter because more and more firms are being told you've either got to vaccinate, well, just vaccinate or you lose your job, or B, you've got to test every week. That's the problem, and that's why it sounds great not to fight back and have a gut strong no, but unfortunately, even though many people don't want the vaccination, don't want to be tested, nobody's saying no, and therefore they're winning even though people are not agreeing with it. That's the conundrum we're faced with here in Hong Kong at the moment. The things I really wanted to talk about are really affecting England, because I do want to return to England, and that is the Gillick case and the Gillick test of competence,
Yes.
lowering the age of 16. I'm really concerned about that, because being involved in the legal profession and sort of knowing quite a lot of judges and also their backgrounds, I'm very, very concerned about this lowering of the age of consent. I'm going to hold up one article. It's from the Daily Mail, which is not the best paper, but you can get the same thing in the Times, just so if anybody can actually read that. I don't know if anybody can see that or not.
High Court judge and child sex ring.
Correct. So there have been a number of judges in the past that have actually been part of what's called paedophile information exchange. And they've been calling for the age of consent to be lowered, wait for this, to the age of just 4 years old. 4 years old. That is sick.
Yes.
And unfortunately, you know, when we talk about vessels of evil, I think there are vessels of evil, but I think there's pure evil here on this planet right now.
Yes.
And the Gillick case, I think, is very, very significant, because it's prior to that, anybody wanting, all children had to gain any medical, or anybody had to gain consent from the parents in order to perform anything medical or give medical advice to a child. But after Gillick, the test became that a doctor could give medical prescriptions for girls for contraception, so she could actually engage in a criminal activity, because it's illegal for a girl under the age of 16, for anyone to have sexual intercourse with a girl under 16. But after Gillick, essentially, it legalized it.
Yes.
It changed the whole game. And under 16, any age under 16, that's crazy. It really opened up a lot of problems. But there's a few things good about Gillick. What I want to point out is, first, in the Court of Appeal, they found 3-0 in favour of the mother, i.e., a doctor had to gain the mother's consent. 3-0 in the Court of Appeal. That's a hammering victory. And they said, no way can a doctor give medical treatment to anyone under 16, because it's the responsibility of the mother, and the criminal law and the civil law should always go hand in hand. And any attempt to separate the two will totally undermine the rule of the law. They were very, very strong in that judgment in the Court of Appeal. I've got a copy of it here on the House of Lords. But it was only in the House of Lords where, as I said, look at the background of some of the judges. I'm not going to say too much, but I think people should look a little bit more about the background of judges when these judgments are made. The House of Lords was only 3-2 in favour of the doctor being able to give medical treatment to girls under the age of 16. Well, actually, it was contraception to girls under 16. So it was a very, very narrow victory. And even with that narrow victory, it did come with a number of safeguards. First, the doctor had to assess the child to make sure they were mature enough to accept the advice. He had to point out any alternatives available to the child. He had to point out the long-term consequences to the child. He had to point out, is this really necessary? And above all, the doctor had to ask the child, would like to ask your parents to come and join in this consultation. And it's only if the doctor's not able to persuade the child to ask the parents to come and join, and only if the doctor deemed it very necessary to give contraception would that be given. But he's still under the duty to explain all the alternatives available. Yeah. And also to point out the risks involved, the long-term risks involved. Now, I don't think that's happening. I think MPs, particularly the one in Daventry, Chris Heaton Harris, I think the Daventry people met with him. He had the view, oh, it's law, you know, it's under 16, it's the child can consent. No, that's not true. That is not the law in the House of the Lords. In the House of Lords judgment, you still have to make sure the child is mature enough, and you still have to explain the long-term risks, and you still have to try to bring the parents into it. So Gillick is not black and white, and it's people need to look a bit stricter at the Gillick. Okay. Read the whole judgment on that. And all right, Robert. Yeah. Can I bring a couple more points? Yes, quickly, please, because I know we're going deep into detail, and I won't go too much into that. And one thing I'm very concerned about is that the MPs and other people in positions of power are going to be able to run what's called the Tony Blair defence, i.e. all these science said that this vaccination was safe, etc., etc. We were just following the science. I think that's why it's very important actually to write to all the local MPs and say, as your constituents, you owe us a duty of care. And you're breaching that duty of care. And that's called misconduct in public office. And so they cannot run that Blair defence of following the best evidence available at the time. We have to make sure that they are fully aware of this, make sure that they are committing misconduct in public office, make sure they are fully aware of the Gillick. And also, they are actually committing a crime, which is called aiding and abetting medical professions and the drug companies to obtain a pecuniary advantage by deception under the Fraud Act 2006. Too much detail, I know, but we need to get this out to them, so they need to know the position. So, Robert, if you could put some of that into the chat box so people can or some links or some so that people you can summarize what you've just said there that people can use, maybe. Okay, that's possible. I'll try to do that, and also that ask the MP to write to all his constituents explaining the problems of the vaccine. So at some point he cannot get away with this. They need to know they cannot get away with it. Okay. Otherwise they're going to steamroller forward. And at the moment they think they can do anything. Even under the current law they can't. We're not playing our hand very well here within the existing law that even judges accept. That's the point I want to make. Okay. But thank you, Rachel. Thank you. Thanks, Robert. Thanks for coming on. We'll come next to Mike B and then to Shelley Shine. But first of all, and also Owen's wanting to speak again, because I think you've probably touched a nerve with him, given he's into common law as opposed to statutory law. Before we do that, I'm just going to just have a look across the screens, because I haven't actually looked at the gallery yet, just to say hello to everyone who's on. We've got 93 on at the moment. There's only 100 seats on these calls. So hello to everyone. Hi to Sass, waving like the Queen there. And there's Sue Ainscoe. Good to see you. And there's Debbie waving.
So, and then lots of avatars as well on the final pages. So, yeah, nice to see so many of you on the call and so many familiar faces. So let us come next to Mike B. Mike B, I don't think you've been on before.
No, I haven't. I've listened in a couple of times, but I haven't.
Mike.
I haven't
Hello.
spoken before.
Hi, welcome.
Yeah, I just wanted really to endorse this idea of maintaining positive energy, and I think this is the one space where that message is very clearly put across. There's so many, alternative media sites and videos which focus on all the negative stuff, and I think we do need to be aware of that. But I find that what I've been doing recently is listening to it, but when I find it disturbs my positive feeling of energy, then I say, well, that's enough of that, and I absorb it. So I think it's important to listen to it, but to listen to it with that energy intact. And when it starts damaging that, I think that's when they're getting through to us. And I think that the danger with the alternative media is, in some ways, it's serving their agenda because it's making people more afraid. You hear all these stories of people having to take vaccines and losing their jobs and things like that. And I think it's important, as I say, to keep that positive focus, be aware of it, but not fall for it and get into that negative energy state. And I agree with you that when we reach a certain proportion of people who are in that state, then I think that will have the impact that it will shift the change. And this is happening on a higher spiritual plane.
Yes, I actually think we're already there, which is why they're getting so desperate. I think that we already have got that critical mass and they are literally starving and shriveling.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be fantastic if that were the case, and I'll hold on to that as a belief. The other thing is, I was in a spiritual group. I have been for several years, but I've been very disappointed that so many people in that spiritual group, although it claims to be quite enlightened and quite leading, are just not on board with this. They can't see it. They can't see that they've had a spell cast upon them. And so I've kind of backed away from them, really, because I don't think it's not serving me. And I've basically doing my own spiritual practices to keep myself healthy.
I agree. I think just focus on the people who are awake and who are like-minded, rather than putting lots of energy into trying to fight and convince people. It's like quite exhausting and draining. And people are waking up all the time. People that I know have been double jabbed who are awake to it now, like there's no way they're having a booster, and they've realized and are really regretting having succumbed to the spell.
Yeah.
So I think things are shifting.
Really encouraging. Yeah. And just very finally, in terms of the fight, I'm kind of wonder whether I should be going out and doing more, but I'm waiting. I suppose if the fight comes to me and I'm asked to take the vaccine or lose my job, then that's when I'll go in with the information that other people are providing and make my case. I'll take it as high as I need to.
Yeah, take it all the way to tribunal, get the compensation, because they can't do this. It's against human rights. It's against every law. And so we just need to just stand strong and say, this is wrong. And I'm taking you to a tribunal. How dare you? How dare you demand me to do this, that, and the other with my body, my body, my choice.
Absolutely.
It's an outrage. I'll just share a quick anecdote because there's a local restaurant, hotel, bar where I went a few times at the weekend with Carrie, who'd come to visit. And we were just asking the staff, are you enjoying wearing that mask? And do you want to wear that mask? No, but we have to. And why don't you speak to your manager and just say, it's time for us to not do them? And funnily enough, and we were all just joking and jovial, and everyone was agreeing that they hated wearing them. And it was, and then this morning we popped in there to get a latte, and the girl said, no mask, they've dropped the rule. And so no one was wearing them anymore. It just felt like a very small thing, but it's it didn't take much for everyone just to say, we've had enough of this now.
Yeah.
And everyone just agreed, okay, let's just ditch it.
That's very encouraging. Lovely to hear.
Yeah.
And thank you for what you're doing, Rachel. It's a great job here.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on, Mike, and sharing with us. So let's come next to Shelley Shine, and then I am going to come to Craig, actually, and then maybe to Owen if you want to speak again. So let's come to Shelley next. Trying to get to people.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, hi.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you for some weeks, actually, because I've just taken my life, I've got it in my hands, and I'm actually moving it in the way that I know is right. For me, walking my talk, breathing my breath, and letting go of the shit one layer at a time, one layer at a time. I've been put in a situation where over this, so hi everyone. I've been put in a situation where I've had to lose people one by one, situations, places and things. It's been a really interesting couple of years. Yeah, really, really mind-blowingly awakening, because all the pinpoints that I had, the pillars that sort of gave me my identity or who I was in my life, it's all just crumbled, fallen away. Not because of COVID, but as well as COVID. You know, before it started before that. But the thing is, to me, cellularly, from the beginning of this, it's just top to bottom. This whole thing is rotten to the core. I didn't need to read, although, you know, all the information's come, I didn't need to read it or be told it. It's like, within me, it just went, sorry, no, I totally feel it, see it, know it. And the thing that's come to me through actually starting to allow myself to let go of people, places and things, and it's been really hard because I really did hold on to some of those things, thinking that gave me who I was or am. And every time, you know, you lose a limb, you cut a bit off, you know, you're still there, this amazing you, what is this amazing you? You know, you, I, we are it. There is no other thing. We are the it. So it's just allowing yourself or oneself or myself to just let go of all the identity shite has really given this force, this it, to the power to see, breathe and feel in this world. Honestly, once we start to grasp it, I know loads of you, I'm talking to the, you know, you already know this, but really, really seize that. What is looking through your eyes? What is beating your heart? And we're saying about our bodies. And I don't believe you have to take a format. I do have some practices, but it's kind of moved into dogmatic format, and now it's moved into melody rather than, you know, keys and, you know, systems. But if we can, I want to speak for your body, love your body, move it, breathe in it, let it expand. Don't just, you know, think you have to be right with food this way or right with sitting in that position or any of that stuff. This has gone beyond and surpassing all the old paradigm now. We are it. Seizing your power, breathing your breath, not because it's right or going to make you better, or, you know, we've just got to keep letting this amazing creativity, this consciousness to expand and expound in this reality. I feel it. I know where we're going, and it's so beautiful where we're heading. And I know you know, Rachel, as well. And, you know, honestly, it's not about the doing, it's all about the undoing, it's all about the letting go. I'm speaking to you from a refuge right now. I was in a 5-bedroom massive house with 225 acres of land, all the things I thought I wanted, the rings, the blings, all the fucking things. Sorry, whoops. But so after that, dropped it all. And the thing is that no thing counts. No thing matters in any of this. We don't take any matter. It doesn't matter, because it isn't matter at the end of the day. It's all experiential. So lifting your vibe and knowing, honestly, just we have to seize our empowerment, embodiment, empowerment, to just change the thought. You're allowed to think, feel and love as deeply and as passionately and as quietly as you choose, because you are it. There is no outside force that's coming. It's already here. It's in your nostrils. It's coming out your ears. It's in between your fingers. It's the smile in your heart. It's the tears that roll down your cheeks. This is it. Yeah. There is no other thing. We're not reaching for something. We're just starting to allow it to express itself through us. Yeah. This paradigm, this place, this reality is Oh, the beauty. If we could just unwind just a little bit, fraction of light, a little bit more sound that we could hear, we would be blown away. As you know, Rachel, this reality is beyond sublimely beautiful.
Yeah.
Whatever you can do, just keep drawing your mind away from, I know it's easier for me. Some of you are in positions where you're being, really constricted, contorted, but the way out is in. And it's the same old thing that I say, move your body, breathe your breath. And if it means you've got to be really brave and let go of these roles and positions and identities that we've taken on, trust me, trust yourself, trust the grandness of this magnificence that's here. It's okay, because you're going to be alive anyway. And the beauty of this creativity is going to take you and let you, because you are it, flourish. And you're going to discover more and better things. And it's coming. It's actually already here.
It's already here.
Take back the power. That's what I want to say.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you for my love.
Thank you for living up to your name, Shelley Shine there.
Yeah. You are it. Love you. Thank you, Rachel, darling. Keep doing your thing, because you are special, special. Not that kind of special. Love you.
Love you too. Thank you. Okay, let's keep going and keep coming to people, because we're just got 13, 14 minutes left. So I'm going to come next to Craig. Owen, I will come back to you, but I want to get people who haven't spoken before on the call, if that's okay. And if we still have time, we'll come back to you, maybe let you have the last word or something. Craig, let's come to you.
Hi everyone. I've been on a couple of times, but I've not spoken.
I take it you don't believe in flat Earth theory, Craig, with that background.
If you go on the flat Earth Facebook group, it says the flat Earth has many flat Earth theory, or whatever the group is called, has many fans around the globe. So I think they're trolling themselves these days. Yes. I don't think we need to add to that. So actually, just a little bit of feeding on from what Shelley was saying there, and so I don't want to get too out of people's reach, and I just want to bring the ownership of our breath back to ourselves, with just like the most simple easy breathing exercise you can imagine, really. And what it does is it just resets your nervous system. So we've got this fight or flight, so we're on parasympathetic. By the way, I'm a hypnotherapist, and I do sound healing and just work with energy in general. I also do astral projection work. I've got a small school group on Facebook called the Dream Temple Project, and a website, thedreamtempleproject.net. And we're working towards, hopefully in the long run, before I take you through this, resolving humanity's problems by connecting with the collective consciousness through out-of-body experiences.
Okay.
And just getting everyone on board. And I believe that a lot of the problems to humanity are easy, that we're seeking, if we manage to drop the dogma of normal conscious existence that people have, and the biases and the leanings of investigation, science and maths, and all the important questions for humanity can be addressed by the collective consciousness.
Yes.
And we can receive the answers without actually going into a lab or wherever where someone's paid, or wherever, and someone's been doing something all their life, so they definitely want the answer to be this, even though they're supposed to be doing an unbiased investigation, so or scientific experiment or whatever. But anyway, so yeah, that's what I do. And this is a really simple way of owning your own breath every day. At any point you're feeling any stress, anyone's coming to you, and it's important for your self-sovereignty, because most people don't actually own their own breath. They're barely conscious. They're breathing most of the time. If you sit there, for instance, and you've got your mouth open a lot, that means you're traumatized. If you're breathing through your mouth, unless you're breathing out with an out breath and in through the nose, which is a circular breath. So this is really easy. So everyone knows where the diaphragm is, so just underneath your stomach. If you're just breathing, as you breathe in, inflate from the diaphragm up to the solar plexus, but really quickly. Inflating out, stop, and then breathe in the rest of the way, filling the lungs. So, and then pause at the top, and then just out. Nice long breath out. Short breath in to the top of the stomach, the solar plexus, and then the rest of the lungs, and then. No, you should do that if you're feeling uneasy and stressed around 6 to 7 times, maybe more, but don't top out at 12. Don't keep doing it, because that becomes something else then. And really, we're just looking at resetting your nervous system, so you can then go on and take the rest of your day with ease and grace, as opposed to stress and feeling hyped up about what happened this morning and the news that you read, especially if you watch the news, something like that. Go and do that straight afterwards.
Cool. Okay, Craig, thank you for that.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Thanks for coming on and sharing that. Yeah, absolutely agree. Breath is key to calming the nervous system. Okay, let's come to Barbara. Barbara Hellis-Bailey.
Hello, guys. Thank you for your listening ear.
Hi.
I had this, very shell-shocking awakening experience about 2 weeks ago. So I'm new to this. I'm kind of late to the party.
What was the experience?
I've basically just found out what is being planned against us. We've been resisting the vaccine for a very long time, my family, my husband and I I have a group of friends who've always been, very hesitant as well. But after having done some extremely, disturbing research, I've basically learned what probably most of you here know already. And it's been probably the most harrowing experience in my life, I have to say. If I don't, I lost both of my parents when I was young, so I can, I've had some very difficult things to pass through. But I'm finding this extremely challenging, and I'm very grateful that I can connect with people like yourselves. At the moment, I am in this complete fight or flight mode. I'm trying to do everything I can to calm down. So all the breathing exercises are, probably very useful for me. I've had, very little sleep, stress-induced diarrhea, all kinds of, all of these manifestations of this overwhelming fear. I have a family, 2 children. I live in south of England, and believe it or not, I'm actually a yoga teacher. I have been kind of more in the category of more of an atheist yoga teacher for a very long time, which kind of happened as a result of me having been previously married to a very scientifically minded, very hardcore atheist who kind of beat all faith out of me, basically. So basically what I have just gone through in the last 2 weeks was the realization that if this kind of evil is in the world, there's absolutely no way that there cannot be good as well. So it's kind of thrust me right back into faith, essentially. But I'm feeling incredibly fragile at the moment. I'm still kind of feeling like I'm slipping in between, you know, sort of reality, I guess. And it just feels like a dream. I don't know how long, you know, you were at that stage. At the same time, I realize that, you know, perhaps the fact that I have been able to see this means that I am somehow able to cope with it. So I would like to ask you, pretty please, I desperately need right now some support, and some of you are already much further along the journey than me. So I want to, you know, stand with you as strongly as I can. At the moment, I feel like I'm still very frail, and I need that sort of help.
Yeah, Barbara. Yes, it's huge when that realization sets in, because of course we were all brought up to trust in the government and politicians, weren't we? And we're definitely not dealing with anything that is ethical and benevolent here, that's for sure. My very best suggestion to you, Barbara, is to find that local community group that's offline, that's human. So that's why I'm such an advocate of Stand in the Parks, because it's all very well having Zoom calls, but at the end of the day, they're digital, and there's nothing like humans meeting other humans in nature. Very healing to be in nature. That's why the genius of Stand in the Park, it's not in a town hall, it's in nature. And I just know that having that local community support, like-minded people, is super powerful, super valuable. Even if it's only a handful of people that you know, like within walking distance of you, it's super calming for the nervous system to know that people have got your back locally. So I'd really recommend that you joined or find your local Stand in the Park, because there's such amazing meetings, and every week we have a different mix of people, and it's just so much fun, and there's so much joie de vivre and friendliness and beautiful energy. So that would be my antidote for you on a very practical level. Find your local tribe. Okay, Barbara, and you can, I don't know if you know how to do that, to go on astandinthepark.org, I think is the site, and they've got a list of all the locations, and you might have to travel a bit to find one, but you then may
have one here. I know of one.
And you have you been?
I haven't been yet. I have been, yeah. I have a small group of people that are all awake.
Yeah.
And we are sort of planning how to look after ourselves. So
well, I suggest you corral your little group and go to the Stand in the Park and link with other people, because it really just will lift your spirits. So lots of love to you, Barbara, and I'm sure there's lots of resources in the chat as well that people will share. Also, some of the Telegram groups that have got spiritual content, like I think it was Amina saying, and also I just created a source channel recently, which is just pure inspirational, high vibrational stuff, funny stuff, so the source channel on Telegram's another good resource. Okay.
Can I just ask how we will receive all the write-up from the notes? I don't.
If you're on the email, if you're signed up to the emails where you get the invite link, you'll get the chat log.
Okay, I'm not signed up onto the emails.
Okay, how did you get the link to this to come on the call?
I got it through one of my friends who follows you.
Oh, very naughty. Okay, so you'll have to get that friend to share the chat log with you too.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to build a database out of my YouTube following, because I know that at some point I'm going to get struck off. I'm already on one strike. It's not going to take much for them to de-platform me, which is why I've been trying to decant my following into a database, so at least I can still communicate with everyone, even if I get pulled. Yeah. So that said, my website's down at the moment, so it's difficult to sign up. So yeah, ask your friend to share the chat log with you. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Lots of love, Barbara.
Thank you.
It's 1 o'clock, and I am just going to come to Sass because she is our queen of the forest, high vibrational enchantress, who is always has some wisdom to share. So sorry about that, Owen, but I'm just going to finish with Sass.
Okay, have you unmuted me? I'm unmuted.
You're unmuted.
Hi, everyone. Lovely to see you. I just felt I wasn't really going to say anything, but something's come through, and it was just to say two things. Have you seen the new James Bond film?
Not yet, but I want to.
It's very, very interesting stuff. I won't ruin it for you, but needs to say the baddie is called Lucifer, and it may have something to do with a biological weapon being stolen.
Oh my God.
It's really unbelievable. But if you're bearing in mind, it was supposed to be due out last year.
Yes.
And it must have been a big production like that, must have been, started 5-6 years ago. So it's really interesting how obviously things inform you, but I'm just going to say it's a good ending. It's a happy ending. Well, a sad happy ending, if you know what I mean. And the other thing was just recently come online. I don't know if anybody knows Anita Morangi.
Yes.
Well, she wrote a book called Dying to Be Me, which was about her basically her death experience that she had literally at the end of life, and her whole body shut down with cancerous tumors and everyone was saying goodbye to her. And she had a death experience, really, say near death. It was a death experience, but she did actually come back. And she wrote this book, but she's come back recently on YouTube for all those people, because really all this is about. Everyone is fearful about losing their lives and about leaving their loved ones and the world disappearing that they know. So that's probably why we all feel, well, I don't particularly feel frightened, but many people do. I'm not saying everyone on this call, but people who may see it, if it's just one person. She's just started a new series called A View from the Other Side.
Nice.
Which is information that she was guided to bring to the public to help calm everyone down about actually what happens during the death process. And what she experienced, what you go through, and what loved ones may be thinking you might be experiencing. So when you see people have really awful deaths and things, actually it's saying that they will have left the body before that. And it's just a really comforting set of information videos, only quite short, maybe 15-20 minutes, but I recommend them. If you're feeling a bit sort of out of sorts, feeling a bit nervous, feeling a bit fearful, feeling a bit unsure, then go to her YouTube channel on Anita Morangi and called View from the Other Side, or go and see the James Bond film, because you can see that things are all set up, and that the end is giving you a good idea of how things are going to go. So we might be going chaos and the trauma, but we're all going to come out the other side, and even if you don't live through it, you've got a good death to go through. It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just share that and say it's not all doom and gloom.
Yeah, thank you, Sass. Thank you for that message of hope and optimism to end with. And I have to say, I totally agree. Having experienced my own death in an ayahuasca plant medicine journey, that was the greatest gift, because whilst I love life and I love living, I'm also looking forward to dying and that is not supposed to sound dark and depressing, because literally it's so beautiful. What lies beyond this heavy, lower dimensional human existence is just amazing, pure, returning to source, basically. And I just wanted to say on that point, and I was talking about sealing the door to where evil dwells. I didn't mention in that video the antidote, that there's a lot of people who are thinning the veil, who are creating portals in the veil, thinning the veil so that more and more light is flooding through, sealing the door to where evil dwells and flooding this dimension with light. And that's why the evil ones, they're just slithering around desperate, like fish flapping without any ocean. We just need to hold our nerve and not fall into fear and chaos, because they're going to throw everything at it. But all we need to do is just keep shining that light, keep laughing at them, and just say, oh, no, you don't. And it's only, I think it's 6 more months, and boom, by next spring equinox, this will be done and dusted. And there will be a shift, like a metamorphosis, like the butterfly emerging from the cocoon. I really do believe that. So hold the faith, hold the line, everyone. Sending you all so much love and gratitude for coming on the call. Let's just go across the screen, see who we still got on. Wave to everyone. please, so as we come across. So nice to see you all. Sending you all so much love. And see you again in 2 weeks' time. Okay. Bye for now. Bye-bye.